Alrighty, everybody, welcome to another episode of GameCorp. This is the one and only gaming podcast that you will ever need. I am your host, as always. My name is Matt Hedrick, and here with me, always thrilled and excited to be here. Not really. That's Chad Porto. How's it going, sir?
Make sure we're broadcasting.
All right, let me check.
My brain was on boobs. Sorry. It happens. I want to make sure we're on the right goddamn feed.
Trying to hear. Let me hear.
As long as we're on.
I turn up the. Well, it says live.
Then we're good. Just keep it on there, and we'll see what happens. So we're talking Ninja Gaiden. To start the show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of this going back to midnight bullshit. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna make it a regular thing. So
Please don't. My sanity relies on sleep. So you can tell I don't get a lot of it.
I was gonna say, yeah, what little you have.
Stronger than before, go Zio. Could I be in a rock band as a lead singer, Matt? What do you think?
I think you could. I think you have the voice for it.
Aw. You just bought yourself 10 minutes of no insults.
Well, contrary to popular belief, man, I'm not. I don't always think of you as an asshole.
Contrary to popular belief, you'd be wrong.
Well, I like to give people benefit of the doubt, regardless of how they treat me. So
Some dude tagging off your fucking shoulder. Nah, it's fine. He said he needed to borrow it.
it was hurting anyway. So he's doing me a favor.
I had to get it scoped anyway. Like I had some he said some loose blood that was in there, and he's trying to get it out. He seems like a good mensch. Like I'm just gonna let him do it. Like it's free.
He promised to put it back on with duct tape.
he even has a tourniquet. I mean, it's just tape. It's not even electrical tape. It's just scotch tape. But he's trying, and I don't think you should judge him. He's trying to go to medical school. I think you're being rather harsh.
Oh man, being too nice sometimes just sucks.
Well, I'm gonna let you go first this week, mostly because I don't want you to copy my answers. This is a test. I'm so sick of us getting the same score.
Of the Chad broadcast system, this is only a test.
Test of your patience.
Holy fuck. Alright, so we're gonna start in the graphics, right?
Yeah. Graphic, sound, gameplay, fun factor, challenge. We rank these out of 5. Yeah, we just pretty focused up.
Alright. If I gotta start with graphics, I gotta be honest. There are parts of this game I look at it and it's completely impressive. Like, I love the idea of the little cutscenes they throw in here to give you some story for it, and they're pretty stylish. Got some flashy effects going on. I do love the environments. I think there's enough variety to them that they look interesting, and they are dynamic to a degree to me. But I wouldn't say this game is like absolutely 100% perfect in terms of its looks. There are some things that are pretty basic. Again, we're dealing with NES, so what are you going to do?
We're also judging it based off the NES's capabilities. To be fair.
And if you're going based off of that, then this one is on the upper level, but not totally like perfect. So I would have to say a 4. That's where I think I'm going to stick with.
I think I'm going to go one better, and you referenced it before, and it's the cutscenes. So unique. Obviously once you get to the gameplay, it's all standard fare in terms of the graphics, but the cutscenes were such a unique thing. At least when I was playing, because I fucking play this, new or semi-new. Fun anecdotal story. You ready for a fun anecdotal story?
Let's hear it.
So it's not. I don't want to say complex, but the housing development that I used to live at when I was a wee lad was fairly new. It was built maybe 10, 15 years prior to my birth. It was built in the mid to late 70s. And you can tell that by the architecture. Architecture. That's the word I'm looking for. Shut up. And you see these houses all over the place. Usually there's a front door in the middle, but the top floor is elevated, and there's a bottom floor just below it, and it looks like the door to the house goes into the middle of it. I don't know what you would call these houses. So I was the house across the street from me. I lived in a two. It's not really a ranch, but it was kind of like a ranch, but it had a second floor and a basement, which usually aren't custom for ranch houses. And the neighbor across from the street of me had that fucking middle door fucking house, and they were having a party, and I was like 5 years old. I had just moved in. And the person there let me borrow Ninja Gaiden. I was running home to play it, but my finger got caught in the door and it broke, and I couldn't play. I couldn't play it, and like my fingernail fell off, and I was like, "Fuck this game!" So I didn't play this game for like 30 years.
Maybe the door was doing you a favor because of how difficult this game is. It was like, don't even try it.
Right? It was like, bitch, please. So
you're not gonna make it. We might as well stop you now.
I definitely did enjoy the visual presentation. You had moving lips. You had cool fucking like not stop motion, but it felt like stop motion. Like the ninjas at the beginning, they're all like, "What?" It's very cool.
I love the I love the clash, like when they hit the swords and it makes the flash on the screen. It's such a cool effect.
It really kind of puts you
dynamic.
It really puts you in the environment, I thought. So, Matthew, why don't you tell us what you thought about the sound?
This game's got a lot of catchy music to it. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of good tracks in here, and I've heard them in other videos before, and now I understand why people tend to use them in their videos, because they're just that good. They do add a nice level of energy to the gameplay. It keeps things intense, and you're always ready to go. As far as sound, it's a lot of whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. I don't know how dynamic that really is. It sounds pretty stock, but I really like it, honestly. I don't really have much fault in the way of sound in general in this game. So I honestly think I'm going to go with a 5. I might stick to that.
Well, I'm a divvy it up and go one lower. I agree. A lot of good music tracks in this, but I'm still not hearing that iconic clash of brilliance, the singular note of Mario, or the epic orchestral of Castlevania. But still pretty good, I'm not gonna sit here and say it's not, but like 5 for me, I think, specifically just for me, I reserve for the iconic riffs of video gamedom, or video games that should be iconic. So, the music for Ninja Gaiden to me has never been iconic, even if it's been very, very good. So, that's why it gets the 4.
So there's nothing like really dynamic to you then. There's nothing like a standout.
Yeah, when I think of Ninja Gaiden, I think gameplay and not sound. When I think Mario Brothers, I think ba 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 da ba da 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 ba da ba da ba ba da ba da da ba da ba da da ba 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 bum 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 da 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 da. Sorry, what we're doing?
I think you were trying to do the. I think you were trying to do the second world, or what? The second stage in the first world. Dun 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 dun.
Ba-doo boo ba-doo boo ba. So anyway, So this game's trending pretty high right now. 4.5. Gameplay, Matthew.
Oh man, see, this is where this is really the biggest mixed part of this, where it excels in its functionality of how everything works. There's aspects to this that make it very frustrating, and I don't. People always say this game is difficult. I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would not in terms of its mechanics. I would just say that it's unfair. I think that's a better way of putting it. It's more or less the how like the enemies constantly respawn, how the levels are laid out, and how you have to go through them that makes it hard. Not
Just
necessarily
to
playing it.
kind of devil's advocate this, that would fall under more challenge than gameplay. Because gameplay,
Okay, fair enough.
gameplay, at least in the way that I've always graded it, is how does the response handle?
Okay, if we're talking just in terms of response, everything here works relatively fine for the most part. There is a certain sense of, but the idea here is you always have to keep a forward momentum.
Yeah.
This game doesn't work unless you keep going. Because if you stop, this game is just gonna fuck you up. So always make sure you're doing that. But for what it is, it works perfectly fine. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but I say it works pretty damn well. So I'm gonna stick with a 4.
I'm going to match that 4. I agree. I find that the controls... I feel like this game was made maybe too soon. Because this game kind of allowed other games to be better controlled, if that makes sense. Like, this game walked so that, Super Castlevania 4 could run. I don't...
Kind of like lays a foundation in it, so to speak.
Yes, it really does kind of set the trend for a lot of these Super NES games that would come from this. To me, I think some of the issues stem from the jumping mechanics. You have to be very precise at times, and that was a bothersome to me. Because I'm not a big fan of platformers to begin with. And then you made this game extra hard by putting in platformers that are super fucking difficult. And I'm just like, So I see we're going to be a cunt now.
Well, there's inconsistencies in it, too. Like, the idea of the wall jumping isn't always a solid mechanic because there's sometimes you don't necessarily know what you're going to lock onto because the environment doesn't really make you aware of it all the time, if that makes sense. Like, some things kind of fade in the background, some things are in the forefront, but you're not always sure. So that kind of messes with me. That messed with me sometimes, at least.
Yeah, I get you. Fun factor: you get to play a ninja called Ryu. Nope, I went from Ryu to Mega Man.
I was going to say, where are we going? We're traveling down a different road, man.
All right, next week we got to do fucking Super Street Fighter 2.
Although, to be real, I can't blame you for thinking Mega Man, at least when you're watching this, because the way these levels are kind of like looking and how they play out kind of have similar layouts to a Mega Man game to a degree.
Well, it was more the transition.
I can see where you're thinking that.
The transition in the music was very similar. That's why I got fucked up.
Okay.
Because like when you're just doing the sounds like I'm doing, you can't hear the I think it's like a bugle that they put in Ryu's theme, and it gives it its different tone than Mega Man. But it's like beat for beat, note for note, like the first 12 seconds of the same goddamn song. All right.
Like, they weren't even being shy about that shit.
No, they're like, we're Capcom. We have like 2 audio files. What do you want from us? All right, so Matt, what are you giving this game fun factor wise?
With what I said earlier, with what you were telling me, we should go with challenge. Would that incorporate to the fun factor a little bit too?
I mean, if you didn't like it because of how difficult it was, yeah. As long as it falls under the because it was difficult, I didn't like it aspect.
It's all right. For when you got a good sense, like I said, when we were talking about gameplay and how it has to function on momentum, when you have a good rhythm going and you're able to capitalize on every move and things are working as best as they can, it is a lot of fun. But a lot of strategies you would think you could use in a game like this, you can't, because all it'll do is lock you in place and you're just repeating over and over again.
This game does trick you with the idea that this is an action platformer when it's really just a fucking run platformer.
Right. This is constant motion. You have to just, it's more about reacting as you're going, not stop and then try to figure something out.
Right.
That's a big difference here.
Castlevania, you kind of can set your feet, maybe not forever because villains do respawn in that game, but you aren't constantly needing to be in motion. Like you're at a very plodding speed, but in Ninja Gaiden, you are constantly sprinting. So there's a different onus on the gameplay comparatively.
I can't say I don't have fun with it. Like, I think it's how intense the game can get at times that makes it a little bit like maybe frustrating to a degree, but I would never say it's not fun. It's just, I think part of the fun in this game is getting over the obstacle, getting through the challenge. I think that's part of it. So it's really not that bad when you look at it from like that perspective. So I honestly have to say I was going to go with a 3, but I think I'll stick with a 4, honestly.
I'm going to agree with you on that. The only thing because the story, not great, but still super, like this is like a very big innovative push. It's the fucking Nintendo. And you're giving me like full fucking cutscenes with a fucking plot and movement.
Like how awesome is that, right?
Fuck. I'm in. Let's see where this fucking dragon statue bullshit goes. The thing that really hinders me is that I fucking hate platformers.
This will not do you any favors.
It's like saying I don't like needles, and then you have to go into a pit full of needles to find the way out of the room. It's like,
Great. Now I'm thinking of Mortal Kombat, dude.
Thanks, Saw. I appreciate this one. Just fucking platforming. Goddamn bullshit. But yeah, 4. Because I fucking hate platforming. As far as challenge goes.
Whew. We're kind of falling into the same thing. I mean, they go together. I mean, there is a certain satisfaction, like I said with Fun Factor, though, that once you get to that point, there's a huge amount of satisfaction that comes from that when you've beaten a certain boss or you've jumped over the certain obstacle or something. There's a great feeling of like, you accomplished that, but at the same time, the fucking way some of these obstacles are presented to you can get really frustrating and feel very, very cheap when you're trying to pull something off. Because as soon as you think you got something figured out, another object will jump in the screen and knock you back down. It'll fuck you completely up. So I still don't think it's bad. I think it's rewarding enough. There is satisfaction to be had. So I think I'm going to stick with a 4 on this one.
I would concur. We ended up fucking matching anyway. See what happens when I.
Well, you agreed with me this time as I go first.
Right? Like, cunt.
I made some decent points. It's not my fault you agreed with me this time.
So overall, this game gets a 21. It's an 84%. Certified, it's just not Hall of Fame worthy. Certified recommended.
Definitely a one worth playing, for sure. If you can stomach it, the difficulty aspects. I always think that's the biggest issue that holds people back with games like this.
Stomach dealing, I should do it with a show with you? Yeah, no, that's hard.
Well, yeah. Don't know how to really respond to that, honestly.
It's super difficult. So, I told you, you got 10 minutes. That was it. 10 minutes are up. I don't know.
I was kind of surprised I got 10 minutes, honestly.
Well, you said something nice about me, so.
I love how you have an allotment of time that in your head that if somebody's nice to you, this is what you get.
I mean, it's essentially why I haven't actually murdered anyone. Now you know, Steve. I'm going to have to kill you. But you look so good in that jacket. Oh, God, that's so nice of you to say. I'll give you a 10-minute head start. Are you still going to kill me? I mean, I'm going to try. That's part of the
See,
fun.
what it should do within that try to keep giving compliments to make the time last longer.
Oh no,
But I
because
don't know how well that'll work.
now I'll know that what you're doing is not exactly on the up and up.
Genuine.
Yeah, genuine. That's what I was trying to remember. If it's not genuine, I ain't gonna give you shit. I'm gonna be like, oh, remember that 10 minutes? Dude, I'm docking 11. Wait, what?
What the fuck? We're backtracking?
Yup. You died a minute ago, bitch.
Fuck.
All right. Ninja Gaiden, certified approved. Just now, Hall of Fame. If we had gone 4.5s throughout, that's the bare minimum. That's the threshold, is 4.5s for a total of 23.5 points, I believe. 22.5 points, I think. I think that's right.
Didn't quite make the cut though.
Yeah, a little too outside on that one there, folks. Yes, you need a 22.5 out of 25 in order to make our Hall of Fame. We are stingy motherfuckers. I think we have like 10 games. That's it.
It's been the same 10 games for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sold on doing Street Fighter next week. So,
You really want to do Street Fighter? Because I think I had a feeling you would give that game a beating, man. Honestly.
fucking cool ass characters, great music. We'll find out. We'll find out.
So Street Fighter 2, that's what you want to do?
I mean, we'll figure out which version, but yes, because there's a lot.
All right, yeah, I'd be down for it, honestly. I've never, and this might sound blasphemous, I've never actually played Street Fighter.
Well, usually people play it with friends, so, that makes sense.
Well, I would invite friends over if they didn't insult me all the time.
If you're not gonna invite the friends who insult you over, you're not gonna have any friends to invite over.
But the whole part of being friends is you have to insult each other because you have to have
A sense of humor about yourself, so I guess there's something to that.
Sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense. If that's the excuse you want to go with. Speaking of friends, when is Fisher having his kid?
And let's see, it's 3 months. I want to say I'm saying October.
Fuck.
They just
that's
revealed
soon.
the sex. Yeah,
Well, what's it gonna be? A fish?
a boy.
Oh, that'll be interesting. Fisher doesn't know how to raise a boy. He's barely been a boy himself.
I can say the same thing about myself, honestly.
I mean, I'm glad you said it, not me, but stop with the useless news.
The fact that your tone of voice changes just tells me that you were already in agreement before you uttered that out. It's just that's common sense, dude.
Well, like I said, you said it, not me. Now it's time for your useless news. With your host, Cashew Medrick. And on the Peanut Report, Charlie Brown. Now it's time to take to the front desk for Cashew Medrick.
I guess it's time to go nuts because I'm Cashew Magic, and here is your useless news.
I did it. He didn't fuck the joke up. For the first time in 3 years, you did something right, you asshat.
I stuck the fucking landing, bitch. How you like that?
Oh, it's time to go nuts. I love it. I love that you knew that I was calling you Cashew and not just fucking with your name. Oh, I'm so happy.
It's a proud moment.
We're ending the show here because it's all going to be downhill, and I don't want to be disappointed.
Well, bitch, you should have been talking to me in the first place.
Oh, Jesus. So, you said the first 3 stories are all interconnecting. The Xbox One
Yeah,
X
they're kind of all tied together, yeah.
will cease production, which is weird because I thought the new one was called the Xbox One X. Xbox is terrible at naming consoles.
Oh my God, they're awful.
Yeah, they're trash. xCloud launching in September and includes the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and Microsoft no longer selling 12-month Xbox Live Gold subscriptions. Seems like the Xboxers are changing things up there, Slick.
They're going through it. They're going through a big transition right now. And I personally never like the naming of their consoles either, but they're discontinuing they have like a digital version of the current Xbox One console, and they're discontinuing that, and they're discontinuing, it's the stupidest thing ever. And then they're discontinuing Xbox One X. The S is still going to be the only one on the market, and then the Series X. God damn it, these names are fucking confusing. Even trying to sit here and explain it is confusing. But the Series X, that is supposed to incorporate. They're trying to incorporate the new streaming service and the Game Pass thing and the monthly subscriptions all together into one plan. It looks like this is all in. The reason why I put them together is it's all one big push towards the next gen. Essentially, they were all like 3 little smaller stories that didn't elaborate too much, so I figured they would all go together instead, just kind of hitting the bullet points. But the biggest one was I think to me at least, because I've been subscribing to it for years, is the 12-month subscription, how that's changing. Because that hasn't been, that was just recently removed as an option from their website as a purchase. So it's kind of telling that they're trying to move forward with a different idea, possibly, maybe turning the Ultimate Game Pass thing into a 3-tier subscription of its own, possibly. And maybe having some different versions of that with different pricing, categories for that maybe. But yeah, like the Xbox One being discontinued doesn't surprise me. I mean, you're making a push for it, of course it would be. And then the streaming service, I don't know. Like it's a novel idea, but I don't know how far it's gonna really go. And I never invested that much into that stuff. Like, other than doing Twitch, I don't necessarily see the point of having another one, especially considering how well they did with let's not beat around the bush, how well they did with Mixer. So I don't know how well but streaming here is a different degree, I think. I'm not sure. I think they're just more or less talking about playing it, not necessarily broadcasting, maybe just having a way to do it like how PlayStation has PlayStation Now, kind of on that level. But yeah, that's the rough one for me. Xbox, I think I feel like at times they try to do too much, and I feel like you get lost and confused in it. If they just hunker down and simplify, this would be a lot easier stuff to understand, honestly.
It's one of those things where, when it comes to streaming in all forms, it's going to be a cash grab business, and games are going to go the way of so many other services, where what was once the norm is no longer going to be the norm. And I say that in the aspect of, there was a time when PlayStation 3, you would buy your $60 game and be able to play online. Then the PlayStation 4 comes around. And then it was, you buy your $60 game and now you have to pay $5, $10, $12 a month to play online. Now, who knows what the PlayStation 5 is going to look like, but we're going to come a day where if you have an Xbox or a PlayStation, or maybe even, certain games, you'll need to pay a subscription to stream it live. It's just, it's that ever-growing, desire to milk the cow for all it's worth, squeeze the blood from the stone as best possible. So, like I said it before and I'll say it again, I think games are heading to a disaster. Eventually gamers will no longer want to keep playing these things that keep costing them money when they just want to enjoy a distraction. That's why I think Nintendo is as successful as they are, because they're just like, you want to ride around on a horse? You want to put a dumb hat on Mario? Come do it.
They've always kept it simplistic, and I think that's what's benefited them out of the 3 major companies. I think that's what's always helped them, is like, people always bitch and moan and complain about Nintendo doesn't have the best online stuff. Nintendo doesn't have the best graphical power when they're making their games. They never intended on that in the first place. So I don't know what you guys are bitching about. They've always been about making games now and making money. And their most successful focus is to just get the games out there, say, here's $60, here's your game, and play it. Like, what else do you fucking need at this point in time? Nothing. The rest of them are pointless to me, honestly.
You're not wrong.
That's why I'm just gonna stick to Switch from now on, man. I'm dead serious about that too. Like when I told you that I'm not buying a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, I meant that shit. It's ridiculous. At this point, it's ridiculous.
I'm still not sure if I'm going to. We'll see. We'll see. Going to
I think you should
Nintendo.
just go for the Switch. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but I'm concerned that the Switch won't have the same support for basketball. Like
it does still support the 2K series, so you still get those games.
Well, yeah, but the thing with those games is it's the communities that make it all the worthwhile. Like that's how you go on from season to season because someone is like, "Hey, I have no life. I'm gonna go put in 80 fucking rookies for the next 5 years because I got nothing else to do." So like, oh, I can play at least for the next 5 years with some authentic, realistic rookies.
Yeah, and the big online communities are pretty much cemented in Xbox Live and PlayStation. So I see where you're coming from with that.
Save for the PC guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, let's move on to the PlayStation 5. Production has reportedly doubled, but 2020 supply issues are still possible. I don't know why this is a bad thing. Part of the thing that's, I think, really helps a console is if it is received well, and there's no supply for a high demand. Because then when the consoles go out, there's a lot more out there for there's a lot more fervor, a lot more hype, a lot more anticipation, and it's a groundswell, and it builds and it builds and it builds. Now the inverse of this is if the console's terrible, but now you've doubled your production, we still don't fucking want it. So there's that issue.
That's the thing that side that you just mentioned. That's the part of it that I'm worried about. Like, I feel like a lot of consoles, when they try to manufacture so many units, like take like for instance PS3 and 360 in that generation, especially on the 360 side, when they manufactured so many at launch, that system had a really high failure rate, and I'm worried that if you're producing too many and there's not enough quality checks going on with the high production, that you could lead to a lot of issues in the early going with the system, and you're going to lead to a lot of complications with that in already a complicated time. So that's kind of where I'm sitting.
Yeah. This is kind of one of those situations where maybe another year, another era, another timeline, there's more hype and more desire for these consoles, but with everything going on right now, these new consoles are kind of, I don't know. I feel like they both bungled their consoles. Because usually, like with the PS3, like there was 8-9 months of anticipation, 10 months, a whole year after it was physically revealed.
Right.
This feels rushed. Maybe it's not.
Like
maybe it's just a personal perception, but this feels rushed.
Yeah, and that rushed is never a good idea when you're trying to launch a console, because you're gonna run headfirst into a shit ton of issues if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
And that, again, like I said, that's what I worry about. So like I at least now I believe in the idea of wait till a console launches, give it some time, let it work out, like get some of the bugs fixed or something, maybe a new SKU of it'll pop up that's a little better, and then see where you want to make your investment in, because that one might have some of the bigger kinks worked out that were in the launch version,
Mm-hmm.
So it's a to me it's just a waiting game, honestly.
So let's shift gears.
Okay.
Gallery, the Lego NES officially releases in August.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? You just build it? Does it do anything else?
There's a few things it does. Essentially, you get the console, you get you get a controller, you get the little game cartridge thing that actually like simulates going down into the system, closing it. There's a full TV, like an old TV set they have with it, with a little like crank on the side. You can have the scene from Mario Brothers, and you kind of like roll that, and it plays through the scene. And the other thing I know is that those the Lego Mario set that released not too long ago, the character from that like makes different interactions and sounds like when you're actually like messing around with the set too. So there's some interaction to a degree, but I always think these things are just like just astronomically overpriced for what you're getting. Like I think it's it's 230 from the article I was reading. There was a speculation it was going to be 250, so it's not far off, but $230 for just some pieces of Legos to make an old system. Like, I'm a guy who likes this kind of stuff, but even to me, that just seems like too deep of an investment for something I'm not going to do much with past like a time or two,
But again, I ask, this is just a fucking set, right? Like it doesn't actually do anything.
Past what I said, no, it doesn't do anything, no.
I wish I was paying more attention then. What did you say?
Well, what I was saying is that there's some interactivity to it, but not like you're not playing a game on it. It's just trying to recreate some of the little things you remember about that generation, that era, like putting the cartridge in the system, and closing it down. Like the first scene of Mario Brothers and it playing out. Like having it on the old TV set and Mario making his little sounds, like grabbing the coins and woohoo, and do 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 that kind of stuff. The little how the little figure interacts with it. So there, like I said, there's minimal interaction, but not enough to justify a price like this.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it. It's a huge novelty item with a high price point. That's only going to be for certain collectors, I think. I don't think this is going to be it. It might be a big seller in that market, and I'm sure it'll probably get a lot of people. But for me, as much as I like this stuff, I don't think I could see myself buying something like this for its price. I think it's too much.
Yeah, I can't really imagine picking it up myself. Like, it's cool, but you could quite literally make your own. Like, isn't that part of the point, of Legos is to be imaginative?
Well, you could go into a Lego store and probably just grab all of because they have those like build your own things, like grab your own like little pieces and stuff like that. I'm sure you could buy out enough pieces to maybe spend maybe like half to do it,
Yeah, if you just get a bunch of gray and black pieces with a few red ones. Like, you probably won't have the same functionality, but you'll at least be able to do the thing.
Right, you could do it for like $100 or something if you put it all together. Maybe even cheaper than that. Lego can't even cost that much to recreate if you're just wanting to create the NES part. Because I don't even think the TV's like necessarily like super important to have as a big interaction thing. Like just building the NES would be cool because you'd have an NES out of Legos,
Mm-hmm. So moving on, we got Ghosts of Tsushima.
Yeah, I was more or less pointing out that the reviews came out and there was a general kind of consensus as to how things were going with the game. That's more or less what I was touching on.
Well, it's getting good scores,
Yeah, it's hitting on the 80s and stuff. And one of the at least from what I've read with a few things, the general consensus seems to be that the game looks good, it has decent combat,
but the biggest issues is that the like the side missions they kind of put you on, and I think this is general for most open world games, is that they're like on the repetitive side. There's not a whole lot of variety to them, which kind of deems the exploration aspects, maybe things people really wanted to do, unnecessary to a degree, you know. But I'm still excited to play this. Just like I told you before, I think this might be the one I dive into before I dive into The Last of Us, just based on new IP and aesthetics alone. You know,
I would. You know, this is definitely one of those games that I think can be really interesting and sets up the possibility that this could be someone's new favorite franchise. You know, whether or not we get a new franchise from this is anyone's guess. And by franchise, I mean like sequels and such. But I heard a lot of good things about the game. So it's a good thing. The only note that I heard from people that I trust as reviewers was that the story wasn't anything super unique. Like that was the one beat that they were hitting on. I was like, it's good, but it's not gonna be genre defining. And the thing that the point of reference that they made was like this was kind of pitched as like a Kurosawa film. Like it's gonna be like super fucking Seven Samurai, whatever the fuck that one movie was called that Star Wars was based on. It's gonna be something like that, like some kind of big samurai epic, a spaghetti western. And they're like, it didn't really come across that way. But I didn't hear any of that kind of expectation. For me, the expectation I heard was like the gameplay was going to be like revolutionary, and I'm just like sitting here going, okay. They always say it never is.
no, because when I see it, it seems like general fare, like has general stealth mechanics and stuff like that, and some decent action. But to me, it's just a third-person action game. That's all it is to me. Just with a really nice aesthetic to it.
I need a new stealth game.
Especially when you get to act like a samurai too. It's like the best of both worlds at that point.
I honestly, I don't even care. I just want to stab someone stealthily.
I think one of the cooler things I saw that I would like to mess with is there's like a graphical filter you can screw with in this game too. That you can turn it black and white, I believe, or something to make it look like the old films that you were mentioning. So I would really want to play around with that too and see like what actually comes of it, because that could be really cool.
That would be a lot of fun. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is more like a what's the best way to put this? This is not a one-hit, one-kill kind of game, is it? Like there's parlaying and like hit points and shit, right?
I would, from what I've seen, I believe there is like multiple hits on like when you're doing the stealth goes. I think is you can use environment to kill them, like, and it'll be one hit. But I think regular attacks, I think it takes like multiple.
See, I want to play a game where you don't have health, and where you get hit or where you hit them is the only thing that matters. Like, right, like. Can I get hooked up? Please.
Doesn't seem like it, like the only thing I can think of that was like really great stealth was the Arkham games when you did the Predator mode thing.
Tenchu. Although I never played Tenchu. I just when it came out it was like super fucking cool and shit, and like it was never in at Blockbuster. Fucking Blockbuster.
That went on for quite a while. It went up to like the Wii generation, but I don't remember anything going past that. Like I don't remember getting any new games past that point.
Well, that'll do you. All right, let's hop on down to the last story. Apparently, you can't touch your weenus when you're in the back of a cab anymore. What's this fucking country coming to? I'm telling you, man. Like. First, they won't let you do the herkity-jerkity in public, and now they're going to take away your guns. I'm telling you, man, this country's turning into Canada real fucking fast. So, Nintendo is not allowing this game on their platform, and the developers are like, oh, no, we weren't going to put it on there anyway. And we're all sitting there going, okay, sure, bud.
consider you already fucking did,
Well, it's one of those things
and then
where
you pulled it.
it's not like you have like 20 files and you accidentally upload the wrong one to Podbean, right? Like you have
Right.
to actually go through a process to submit the game. Now, I don't know if they submitted the game or if it was just a press release. I don't care enough about the story to look into that. But if they actually submitted the game, they're like, no, we didn't mean to. Like, fucking clowns.
They said it was an accident. That was what the story reads. Like, it was an accident. It wasn't supposed to get released. If you have a page on the eShop, that to me tells me that your intention was to put it there.
Yeah, that's not an accident.
I don't know about you.
You didn't accidentally upload to the wrong outlet. Like, come on. I think they were trying to be sneaky, like, maybe we can get by. Nope. So apparently, and listen, I've seen some fucking games, right? I've seen some goddamn monstrosities. There's a game that came out in Japan. I don't know what console it came out for, but basically you just fondle Japanese chicks against their will on like a crowded bus. And I'm like, this is a game? What the fuck? And I
That's
think it was
abuse, man. What the fuck?
Yeah, I think it was like a Watch Mojo list, like top 10 games banned or top 10 controversial games. And like that, there was that one. There was one like where like you could literally like go and assault someone, and I don't mean Grand Theft Auto style. And I was like, wait, what? And then there's one where it was like you were a white supremacist Nazi. I'm like, ooh, I can see why.
No.
I think it was actually a Screw Attack list. Now that I think about it.
Really?
Yeah, Screw Attack video like before Screw Attack died. Because the guy who was doing top 10s was really good at the top 10s. I like the top 10s that he did. But like, so like this isn't like even close to being on that level of games. But basically, you're doing the old hibbity dibbity in the back seat, and apparently it's just kind of like one of those. Hey, it's what the fuck are they called? Like we're trying to sneak past something. Sneaks.
Oh man.
I don't know. It's basically like that. We're instead of like trying to sneak part, into a building or. Where you're trying to sneak the king because he's sneak king around the corner and you don't want to get
Sneak
seen.
King. You're thinking of the Burger King game, aren't you?
I don't know what the fuck I'm thinking. But instead of like trying to avoid like getting caught, it's basically the video game version of Red Light Green Light. Remember that game?
Okay. I know. Now I understand.
As long as the person's back turned, you can move as far as you want, but as soon as they turn around, you can't move at all. It's that idea. I don't know like what the game genre is, but that's essentially what it is. They describe it as a funny little jump scare horror game where you cannot be seen. What are you doing on the? That's terrible. That's just a terribly worded fucking sentence. So they pulled it like, well, we weren't really going to do it. And I'm sitting here going, bitch, please. Yes, you were.
You were trying to be controversial and get something out and think they wouldn't notice it. That's what you were doing. You did this for probably not only that reason, but to get attention and have a news story about you. I mean, come on.
And to be fair, I don't care. Like, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do jerk games, go for it. Leisure Shoot Larry existed for 30 years. Why can't Backseat Charlie? Who the fuck cares? But let's be honest, you did this on purpose. And if you just said, yeah, we did this on purpose, and now you're talking about a game, success! Like, all right, cool. But maybe don't make your protagonist look like a pedophile. I don't know.
Yeah, not really the best looking guy for a game there.
If you looked like a Lannister from Game of Thrones, or like, I don't know who's hot anymore, Chris Hemsworth? Like, all right, then maybe the people want to play your fucking game, but you made them look like Creepy McCreepington. And now I don't know why anyone would want to play your shit, so. I'm just saying. I'm not saying
To be fair, though, a game
anything
that
you
does
didn't
that, like,
already
who would
know.
want to fucking play it anyway?
Right. All right, so, Matt, any final thoughts on this?
No, just if you're going to do something like this, just be honest and admit that you're doing it. That's all I can say.
It's fucking easy, man. It's fucking easy. I'm thinking of the description. Want to get these checked down, so that way I don't need to think about as I'm trying to write these goddamn things up. So I watched that Pro Jared Final Fantasy VII video. Oh
Yeah, like
he's
I told
such
you,
a
I
cunt.
didn't really have the best feelings on it. I didn't really have the best thoughts on that, man. Honestly.
He's such a cunt. Like, what a dip. What a fucking dip.
Now, there was things he was ripping apart in that. Like it was like I was telling you before that I'm like, I don't feel that way at all. There was a lot of stuff in there.
Not gonna lie, I got through half of it and I stopped. I'm like, listen, maybe you are a giant dip who tried to solicit nudes from minors. Maybe you didn't. But I can say after this fucking review, you're still fucking dip when it comes to video games. So,
Because you can hate any video game you want, man. But when you hate on Final Fantasy VII and you don't have a valid reason,
well, like if your reason is I just don't like the game, okay, that's
Right.
fine.
Right.
But for you to go, it's overrated. It's not even the best one in the series. Says who, cunt? And like that's the thing that really irks me. Like you can sit here and say it's not your favorite. That's cool. I get it. But you can't sit here and say that it wasn't the genre-defining game of its generation. You can't say that it wasn't the most popular. You can't say that it didn't make the series relevant. Because it did. It brought the game from, a small collection of dorks playing D&D and listening to their Weird Al Yankovic to fucking main event, mainstream, pop culture, iconoclast. Like, it became a revolution in video games. It was the talk of the town, and it made every subsequent game after it far more relevant than any of the games had any right to be in hindsight, because a lot of those games ended up being trash.
yeah, because be realistic. Like, how many people were talking about the Final Fantasy series before 7? How many?
So
Not very many.
Let me just kind of give you my grade school kind of set. I don't think there's a kid in my class that didn't have a game console at some point between 3rd and 6th grade, because Final Fantasy VII came out in 97, so I would have been 4th, 5th grade. I'll like in that generation, everyone played games. Everyone, like Metal Gear Solid, Gran Turismo, Madden, the one with the clown and the fucking the crashing and the booms.
Twisted Metal.
There it is. Everyone played that. Now I say this with absolute affinity and love for my friend, but my friend Adam was the only person in my entire school, besides maybe him and a kid named Dan, were the only two people who played RPGs in the entire fucking school. Like, that's it. Well, in that school, but my class. So, you're looking at 90 kids, 2 of them played. Final Fantasy VII came out, everyone played it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, just a small sample size in fucking northeast suburb Ohio, but it gives you an idea. So for him to try to invalidate the game simply just shows his desire to redefine the narrative. And that's usually where this comes from. People try to redefine the narrative so they can be seen as influencers. But here's the thing. You can't fight the current. You can create one. You can create a current. Like whenever like someone does something dumb and all of a sudden it becomes a trend, like the first person that did planking, they didn't redirect anything. They just planked. And then people started doing it. But he's trying to redirect the current to make himself seem like an aficionado and like a source of video game expertise. I criticize Final Fantasy VII, so you know that my opinion is valid and educated. Fuck off. That game has one flaw. One. The grinding.
Yes. Dear God.
Oh, it's the one thing that I think everyone goes, yeah, no, that game sucked. Like why did Final Fantasy
Like, Jesus.
The grind. But he's like, one of the things that he's like, the villains are all way too easy. Are you, like, how fucking?
What?
Yeah. How high on your own ego are you? And then he goes on to say that, like, you get a lot of smaller, mini games, but they're all terrible.
Okay, again, what were you playing?
Like, Like, all right, maybe the fucking snowboard level doesn't fucking handle like SSX Tricky. But
It's
it
not
was
supposed to, though.
Yeah, boy, it was a fucking mini game in a goddamn game in a time when that wasn't a fucking thing. Like, no one was going, hey, you like that Madden? You want to play Tecmo Bowl 2? No, they didn't do that at the time. Like, this was fucking revolutionary. So, like, fuck off, you giant gaping hole.
Is that like saying the basketball game was supposed to be in there, was supposed to be like NBA Jam? I mean, come on.
Right? By the by, I still love that it was like Pat Riley's basketball for Sega. And like every time you fucking took a jump shot, they did a cutscene.
It's fantastic, right?
What
It's
were you
great.
fucking thinking? Like, what the fuck? Like, you fucking obnoxious dorks. Yeah, so, fuck that, dude. I've been watching a lot of music videos on here. I got really into one band. Two bands, actually. One is called Bad Wolf. That one's not at all, like, hard to, like, figure out. Like, they did that cover of Zombie. Remember that song from the 90s?
Zombie. Who did that song?
Cranberries. It was the Irish chick.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then they remade it 2 years ago. And the guy who does the vocals is just fucking amazing. And they remade it. I was like, all right, let's see what else Iggy's got in this discography. And I started listening, and like, there's another one that has been getting radio play over the last year that I'm like, oh, all right, I recognize that one. And I got into into the back catalog for the band, and they're pretty fucking good for a metal band. I like them. The other one is like super fucking obscure and like right up my alley, but it's very occult, but not like real occult. Like it's a gimmick. It's like the fucking Kiss guys, the fucking gimmick. They don't actually think they're a star child, right? And they're called Ghost. And Ghost had one song that I really liked for like 6 months. I was like, all right, Square Hammer's pretty good. But it was, again, one of those where I'm just sitting there, I'm like, all right, listen, I'm going to fucking go deep dive into this. I don't know why, but I got nothing else to do. It's too fucking hot to work. My brain is fried. Let's just get into this music and see what it's like. And I'll tell you what, I dig it. I'm not about the devil and the demon worshiping and all that, but it's a joke, it's a gimmick. But the lead singer is pretty fucking cool. It was actually, I think I remember how I got into it. There's a YouTube channel I watch on occasion. I don't subscribe to them, but I might, called Loudwire. And they do a lot of interviews, and the guy was talking about the tech he uses and like his gear. And he's just a really cool dude. And he's like, yeah, I did it. It was kind of like a spoof, and I don't know. It worked. And I was like, all right, so I'll get into your music and give it a shot. So that was pretty cool. So now I've been kind of hunting for new music.
Cool.
But if you're into metal, hard rock, that stuff definitely is up there for my recommendation of the week. Let's see. As far as other UbiTube videos, I don't think I watched. No, I did watch it. I didn't watch all of it, though. Craig from Screw Attack, he's launched his own channel called Game Attack like 2-3 years ago. And he just announced that he left Game Attack. And I love Craig. He used to do the Angry Craig sketches on Screw Attack. Like, 10 reasons we hate Mario. Here's why. And then like he's like, because he's fucking short. And that's like, it's like dumb. Or like, 10 reasons we think Mega Man's a dork. You see that fucking helmet? His best friend's his sister. And it's just like dumb shit like that. And they were fucking great. So, do you remember Slam Ball? Did you ever watch Slam Ball?
Is Slam Ball that game where you kept jumping around like on trampolines and like you would shoot the ball? Is that what that was?
Yes. So when TNN became Spike TV, they tried to find a bunch of new fucking shit to put on the airwaves. They were already airing Raw at the time, WWE Raw. And they were about to get TNA Impact and then bring in the UFC as well. So they were trying to like bulk load their shows to be the Guys Network, and it was fucking great. I loved Spike. But one of the things they had was Slam Ball, and Craig apparently was a Slam Ball player. And like, there's fucking video evidence of it. So it's cool to see him doing his own thing. He's doing a podcast now, and his first guest was the Angry Video Game Nerd. You probably saw the Video Game Nerds video about Weird Al Yankovic.
UHF?
Yes. That's Craig. I used to subscribe to the Game Attack channel quite regularly. Like I subscribed. I was following Screw Attack because of him. So when he started Game Attack, I was like, hell yeah! They just did like a bunch of Let's Plays and shit. So I was like, all right, this is fine. But he had this dude. I don't remember his name. Nolan, something fucking dorky. And he was just the worst because he was so goddamn arrogant and he had no right to be. And I'm just like, this dude isn't even funny. He's just a turd. So I was like, Craig, I love you, but I got to bounce. But then he announced he's doing his own thing now. And I'm like, hell yes. So now I'm all on board that Craig train.
So what's is his channel name just his name for the channel or what is it?
It's nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Hang on. I said hang on. God, don't rush me. Maybe he's at the bottom because he hasn't put out anything really. Hang on. Yeah, it's Craig Skitz. Skitz.
All right.
So,
cool.
Follow those.
Just actually subscribed.
He's a lot like me in terms of his personality. He's very bombastic, but he's also very like well spoken. So like he can hold a conversation. So I think that's very beneficial for anyone who's looking for something new. I think he's just gonna be doing podcasts and interviews, which I'm fine with. Like, I got enough video game content. Like, I don't need any more. Dom2K is a basketball channel, but he's also super into NBA 2K, and he plays it on the PC. And I told you before, the modding community, they're fucking outrageous. I think he went back to like the 1994 season or something ludicrously stupid like that, and he's playing out every single season with it was like the 1996 roster or something like that, and instead of like bringing in like modern rookies, he's bringing in that rookie class, like 97, 98, and he's basically showing you what the NBA could look like if rookies went to different teams. And it's a really fucking cool if you're into NBA history or sports history like I am. Like the screen, the thumbnail here shows like Tim Duncan in Toronto and LeBron James went to Memphis. And it's very cool to see all this playing out. He does short little recaps on his YouTube channel, but he does the long play version on his Twitch channel. I don't like Twitch, so I don't go on there much. So, and I thought that was pretty interesting. I actually had a lot to talk about this week, so you're going to.
So it's this Dom2K thing then that
yes,
you're talking about, right?
DOM2K. He normally talks about basketball though, just straight up basketball stuff. But this week, he did his game thing. So if you want to see that play out, that's pretty cool. Another of my favorite YouTube sports guys, SDC. This dude is one of the most thought-provoking sports guys out there. He does kind of deep dives into stuff in sports. I caught him, my eye caught him when he did one about the Showtime Lakers with Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at the end of his career, and he went deep dive into it. And I'm pretty well versed in sports history. I didn't know half the shit he was talking about, and it's not like he was going out making shit up either. Like he was like reading books and interviews and shit from 30 years ago to get this shit. So I have a profound respect for him, and he's doing one called it's a new series called The Dark Side of Muhammad Ali. And the first, what do you think? What do you think the first episode's about? You're not gonna get it right, so just like throw something out there. Just Muhammad Ali. Well, first episode, what do you think it's about?
The only thing I ever known from Muhammad Ali is the Rumble in the Jungle. That's
Malcolm
the only thing I
X.
remember.
You're right. It was Malcolm X. The entire first episode was about Malcolm X.
Again, like I told you, you knew I'd get it wrong because there's only so much I know.
No one was gonna get that right. What? The entire first episode about the dark side of Muhammad Ali was about a fucking different person entirely. And I never really liked Malcolm X because I always saw him very, he always had a lot of hateful things to say about other races. But in this video, he actually's like, before Malcolm X was assassinated, he started to repent his behavior and his opinions. And he's like, listen, I'm paraphrasing Malcolm X, but he's like, I've been fucking up. it doesn't matter what color we are. We need to fucking stop. And I'm like, I like that.
Wow.
Good guy. He was part of a. It's a debated topic, but it's often considered a hate group called the Nation of Islam, and he spoke negatively about the leader of it. The leader of it in the '60s is not the leader of it now, obviously, but the leader of it in the '60s was kind of held as a deity to those who were part of the religion. So when Malcolm X broke away from the Nation of Islam and repented and recanted his beliefs on race in general, they're like, we're going to come kill you. And Malcolm's like, I believe that. Like, you guys are fucking crazy. And sure as shit, members of the Nation of Islam assassinated him. Like, his own religion. I was like, fuck, that's...
Jeez.
Yeah, it's fucked. And they're like, yeah, Muhammad Ali was...
Twisted.
Yeah, and they're like, Muhammad Ali was a fucking dick to him. Like they were brothers while they were members, but then when Malcolm X left, Muhammad Ali was apparently a giant big old dick, and I'm like, holy fuck. So, SDC, man, like that's the entire YouTube channel's name, SDC, those 3 letters. If you have any affinity for athletics, follow him. He does amazing work. I can't stress that enough. He's become genuinely one of my favorite channels. Sci-Fi Wire's back with another revisiting Star Trek Warp Factor. This time it's Lower Decks. There's a new Star Trek animated series coming out. It's terrible looking. Oh, it looks so bad. It's based off of the concept of a Next Generation episode, though, which the title of the episode is called Lower Decks. Basically, it was an episode where they're like, hey, what does the crew members in the Enterprise do, that you don't ever see? Like what's the hoi polloi doing? And it's just 4 random nobodies, 4 random schnooks. And they the entire episode is about them, so they reviewed it, and I've really come to like the guy who does these videos. I don't like his Crusher Watch because I find it to be just forced, but he has such a love and an affinity for the Star Trek property. I think anyone who likes Star Trek would like that show. He is trying too hard to sell the new cartoon, but as someone who writes about ads at times, I understand. Like, sometimes you don't like, if you take the assignment, you don't always get to say how you really feel. So I get it. I'm
That does tend to suck.
Yeah, and like, listen, like I would never bastardize my own opinion, but I can put something over without putting my opinion in it. Like, I can just tell you it exists. I don't need to tell you it's the best thing I've ever played. I can just tell you this thing is coming out this day. So, like, that's essentially what he did. But still, the Sphere Hunter, I decided to follow her. I've been watching all of her Resident Evil shit, and it just keeps popping up. I'm like, all right, listen. I'm in. Let's see what you do every other week or every 2 weeks or whatever your post schedule is. Let's see it. I'm willing to be bemused by your non-Resident Evilness. So let's just see what you can do. I haven't watched everything on my menu yet, but I have watched quite a bit of YouTube stuff. Let's see. I watched most of the UHF stuff. For me, the structure of how they did this didn't really work for me. This was something that would have worked better as an audio file, but because this was a Cinemassacre video, I don't think he wanted to do that. So, like, there would be not cutscenes, but, like, James would be talking, and then, they'd cut to Craig's feed because they're in 2 different locations. And then they'd cut back to James's feed, but because Craig is trying to have a conversation and not just do, like a bit or something where you can do takes, when you cut to James's feed and Craig goes, oh, yeah. Instead of, like, it being like how our audio is, you can hear Craig's audio through James's computer while James's feed is on, and it's so hokey and terrible. And someone who's been doing videography and his YouTube channel for as long as he had should have not have done it that way. Just do the fucking audio first, and then like, don't worry. Like, just record the images. Like, I do like a feed of the recording, but record the audio separately, so that way you can just overlay it on top of the fucking video. I don't know why he did it the way he did, but it ended up being unwatchable for me. Because, like, I could just...
Well, you could have just...
No,
I hear what you're saying.
No, go on.
No, all I was saying was, if anything, I watched it too, and what I would prefer is just have it simply be the video of the movie playing or something while the two of them would review it or something.
Yeah, or like do still
Like
images
how he
everyone
used to
else
do it.
does.
Mm-hmm.
His desire to be creative is pissing me off. He did do another one this week. What was it?
Oh shit! What was that one? I watched it too. I remember.
I'm just gonna look at the
unexpected character deaths in movies.
Yes, that's what it was. It wasn't any of the ones I was hoping for some hidden gems, but this is where I think he excels. Like the discussions he has with the audience instead of having with other people. I don't think he's very good with that back and forth. He doesn't have a natural feed. Like he doesn't know or have the presence of mind to anticipate his colleagues when they're speaking and to lay out.
Right.
So I think that's a problem, and I think it's more of a medium problem. Like for me and you, or specifically me, I've been doing podcasts for over a decade. So for me, I've anticipated with you, I know you're going to eventually say. So I try to kind of give a little like a breath. Like a little break at times because I know eventually you're going to kind of chime in. With Marcus, it's kind of more like a back and forth. And sometimes, like with Marcus, he's really kind of settled into waiting until he's prompted, which allows a much more natural back and forth. Zach, same thing. Swisher generally does the inverse. He's the one leading and prompting me. But once you learn how to do this, like once you do it enough times, you can feel out how your colleagues and co-hosts handle their own responsibilities, and you can play off of that. You can tell when someone doesn't have any fucking chemistry because they'll just be talking over each other and no one will lay out. And if, sometimes you're going to have two people talking at one time, but you need to have someone who's willing to go, okay, I'll lay out, you can go. And James doesn't have that. And
No.
It's not because of, he's dumb. It's because that's not his medium. Like, he does takes. So if someone speaks over him or he speaks over someone else, they just do it again. So there's a different mindset with how you do this. And I think, this was supposed to be a podcast, but he tried to make it into a video. I don't know.
It's always, James was always better when he's just telling a story directly to you and giving you a little background on certain things. When he tries to go full bore, let's review something, let's do this. I don't know, man. I think you need to start putting an actual structure to this, or it's just always going to fall apart for you.
Yeah, 100%. So I told you about my love affair of the Only in Japan YouTube series.
Yeah, you've mentioned this quite a few times before.
And I told you that Only in Japan, the guy who did it, John Dobb, left the channel and started his own channel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he put out his first video. Well, his first technical video. Like, he's got two others, but they're like, hey, this is what's happening, Q&A. I don't count those. He did one called the Japanese Ice Festival.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
So there's a little town in Japan where the entire town is powered by, financially, by the resort that's there. And the resort is built on top of, or right next to a hot steam, because it's right next to an active volcano. So, okay. So, all
right.
So, the water's always warm, and, there's, green streams in the middle of fucking winter. It's not green, but you know what I mean. There's a lot of fauna and flora during winter, and it's very cool. And, it's a very popular tourist attraction, but in February, apparently, and, that's how old this video is. It's July. This is something he did this year in February. They do some type of ceremony for fertility. And apparently in a lot of smaller Japanese regions, outside of the big, Tokyo and the bigger cities, the smaller regions are having a hard time with, apparently, birth rates are down. So, they do a lot of fertility kind of ceremonies, and this was a fertility ceremony. Basically what it is, it's 80, 40, whatever it is, however many guys show up. They put on those Japanese loincloths that you always see sumo wrestlers in, but it's a different version of that. But you get the idea what it is. It rides the ass crack is all you need to know. And it's February, and in Japan, everything's a lot more exaggerated temperature-wise because of the fact that it's an island. So it's really fucking cold. It's like 19 degrees outside. Or -9, I think is what they said in Fahrenheit. Fuck Fahrenheit. Celsius.
Oh, fuck.
But so what they do is they go out in just that little skimpy-ass thing, and they have what's called a cavalry battle, where you put 3 guys or 4 guys underneath, and then you put 1 rider on top. The guys underneath need to like interlock with one another and moves one, while the guy on top tries to yank something off of the other team's head. It's basically like what's that fucking game that they play in the pool? Chicken.
Marco Polo?
No, chicken. You know, like in chicken, like you go underneath and you lift the person. Like imagine that with 5 people in total, and they got to throw hot water back and forth on one another because again, it's fucking 19 degrees. But the thing is, like, it hits you and it's refreshing, but then it gets worse because it cools off instantly, and then you're cold and wet. And the entire game, you're just throwing shit at one another while you try to yank something off the head of the person riding. And it's a really fucking cool ceremony. And I'm like, I need to go to Japan in February and do this fucking thing. Because this looks awesome as fuck. And just a bunch of Japanese dudes.
As torturous as it is, it sounds like fun.
Oh, it does. It so does. And it was just, that's why I love this video. Like, I love these slices of life in foreign countries. It gives you an idea of what else is going on outside of your own street. I think they're really cool. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Oh, that one's stupid. Living big in a tiny house put a pretty cool little house. The lady was an ex-Hong Kong architect, and she put together her love affair for smaller living in China with her desire to live. I think they're in Auckland. Well, hey, that's where Fisher is. And they're it's cool. I like tiny houses. I like these little alternate little movement things. MMA on Point posted some good videos. Let's see, anything else worthwhile? Well, why don't you go ahead while I try to see what else I have.
I actually started watching a channel that you've been talking about for a while. You mentioned the channel several times.
We can't talk about Pornhub channels on here.
No, it's not that, believe it or not. Even though, I mean, first of all, I would need your playlist, so I would need to know what to exactly look for.
Motherfucker, you'll never see my playlist.
And ironically, it's an actual playlist.
You don't need to know about the Muppet porn I watch.
Well, the hand's got to go somewhere, right?
Right. So what channel did you pick up for me?
It kind of came up in my recommended. Was Amanda the Jedi?
Ah, she's great.
She recently did a review of the movie Splice.
Mm-hmm.
I believe. Yeah. And like the point she was making in that were just fascinating. Like there was one that like completely stuck out to me. It's like, so you are people with all these years of expertise and experience in the medical field, and your test to see if something is alive is by poking it with a stick. I'm like, okay, I think I need to subscribe to you now because I'm kind of on your level with this.
She's very much that kind of scope. I don't want to say she's like an SJW because for me that's always a term that's kind of a person who over exaggerates to an obnoxious end, but she does fall on the liberal side of things. So like when she brings up movies, like I'm sure one of the things she talked about in that film, and I haven't watched it because Spliced I have no interest in it. But I'm sure one of the things she talked about is the grossness of the age situation, because Adrian Brody's like 40. And the thing he makes is like weeks old at best, and he fucks it. I'm sure she talked about the age thing there. Just knowing who she is.
Yeah, at least like 3 or 4 times, it was mentioned. Yeah, for sure.
Not even surprised.
But still entertaining, and she's incredibly funny. Like,
oh,
my goodness.
Her timing is phenomenal. You should watch, what the fuck? Is it Cool Cat? Is that what it was called? Oh, it's like this hack-ass fucking like all ages thing, but it's terrible, and she loves it so much because of how bad it is, and she keeps making fun of the dude who who keeps making things, and she's like, man, I got to get that cool cat hat. She's wonderful. I adore her.
She is funny, man. I didn't. At first, I'm kind of like, I don't know about this. But then when she started hitting with the jokes, I'm like, all right, I am in. Let's go. I want to see what else she got.
I don't even think she writes them. I think she just riffs.
And if that's the case, she's damn good at it.
Yeah. She's like me in that regard. Just riffs until you hit. Yeah, I haven't watched her last two videos.
I cannot disagree.
I don't want to know what she feels about. Like, I want to hate Last of Us 2, and I don't need someone I respect trying to convince me otherwise. So no, I'm good. And then Splice didn't do anything. But like, she did a review of the Quibi show with what's her fucking name? Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
Where Anna Kendrick stars as a real life person, and I don't mean like, oh, she's playing a person. She's playing the role of an actual human being who is like a writer, and she was dating Dan Harmon, right? Or still is dating Dan Harmon. And the TV series follows this girlfriend's discovery of Dan Harmon's sex doll.
Mm.
Yeah. And apparently, like, the sex doll is super fucking feminist, and like the sex doll has like conversations with Anna Kendrick's character, and like she's like Amanda the Jedi is very weirded out by the whole thing, but like it's very endearing to see how she reacts to it. Like she talks about the TikTok versus millennials. Here it is: Cool Cat, save us from quarantine. The 420 Awards.
I love the title already.
Oh, you got to. Like, she talks about like the Twilight books. She talked about I think she reviewed like the 50 Shades of Grey books, and she's like every time like the video would start, she's in more and more of a distressed state because she can't. She's truly goddamn wonderful. I applaud her. She's a delight.
Let's see. Yeah, we already talked about the Cinemassacre video, so I'm gonna move past that. That was just both of those we mentioned. I do subscribe to a guy on YouTube. He's he's a doctor in New York. I started subscribing to him because he was giving out like actual accurate information about when coronavirus hit. You know. Mm-hmm. And he was trying to he's trying to educate people on what this thing really is, as opposed to what the fear and everything is supposed to be behind this. Mm-hmm. And at times he does reaction videos to certain things doctor related, and his name's Dr. Mike is his name of his channel, and he did a video reacting to the quarantine episode of Scrubs, and I love his little his reactions to the humor is not so great, but his little medical throw in expertise parts of it are funny. Like when he sees the monitor or whatever, the I don't know what you call it, EKG, is that what it is? The the monitor that, and he's looking at that and he's like, no monitor should ever be like that because that dude is dead right now. So somebody should be paying attention and not talking to somebody else right now. It's shit like that, and it's a good time. It's only about a 10-minute video, but I like it when he breaks off and has a little fun. He's silly and I like it.
The only doctor I trust in Hollywood is Ken Jeong.
How could you not, though? I mean, honestly.
Like, he's gonna throw his dick in your face when he jumps out of a fucking a trunk and then give you medical advice.
Who doesn't fucking love Mr. Chow, right? Like, come on.
Ken Jeong is legitimately one of my favorite people. I hope I meet him one day. Because, think about it. He literally went to medical school, got his MD, became a practicing doctor, and then went, I'm going to go do comedy at, fucking 38. Okay.
That's just badass, dude.
Oh,
That's badass.
He's the best. I love him. And then he's, obviously
it's
Chang.
It's funny because he's fat.
Him as Chang in Community is just...
Oh, man.
He's beautiful.
Oh, God.
Let's see. As far as other things go, it's been a rather slow week, for gaming, big gaming videos. The only other one that really stuck out, there was two. Nerd Slayer did a Death of the Game episode on the Elder Scrolls Legends. I found that to be interesting. He made a lot of comparisons to Blizzard's version, Hearthstone, and how Elder Scrolls was kind of trying to be too much like it, and that's kind of why it failed. So it was a good video. I just wish they maybe these were shortened up more into like 20 minutes. He tends to sometimes go to 40 minutes, and I kind of drown out at that point. Let's see, Scott the Waz, he did a video on Chibi Robo, Ziplash. He's been doing this series of like he says how hard it is to find Nintendo's like worst games, like first party games, and these are the three that he always dreads. I think one of them was Mario Tennis, and then this was his last one. And I found it to be kind of fascinating because I played this game too, and I've had kind of a similar like situation to how I felt about it. Like, I love platformers and everything, but the game itself is so mundane, so straightforward, and so pointless that you wonder why it like, what was the point of even making this for the fans of it if you're not going to make anything in it worthwhile? And it made for a decent video, so I enjoyed that. Aside from that, not much else other than my news updates and a guy I've been watching YouTube videos for a long time. His name's the Wii Viewer. He way back in that era. That was when I was just trying to find anything Nintendo related. Was in that generation, and he just did a video recently. And I thought it was interesting. He did 20 reviews that were $2 game like each, and trying to like, you know, see if anything in that pile was worthwhile. And turns out about half of them were. So I found that to be kind of interesting. But other than that, yeah, when you don't get any new Caddy and any new Derek, I mean, from Stop Skeletons, it weeks are slow, man.
I like that he just stole a Caddy idea for his video. Because, like, that's what Caddy right? did. He bought, like, 50 games for $1 or some dumb shit like that. All right, so I did find some more that I did. Ill Will Press posted two quick little podcasts, Squirrels and Robots. He got demonetized after a decade on YouTube. And he's like, I don't get it. And you got to remember, he's doing it through the voice of Foamy the Squirrel, who's a precocious, high-voiced fucking lunatic. And he's like, I don't get it. Doesn't make any fucking sense. So now, I got to fucking take down half my goddamn videos just to get remonetized. And he's not happy about it.
Oh.
Yeah. He also, the first one that he posted was that Stan Lee's image was sold by his estate to a company to use. And he's like, that's fucked up. And I'm like, yeah, that's not cool. But he always does great stuff. I'm very excited anytime I see a new Ill Will Press video. Other stuff. Let's see, where was the other stuff? I did see it. I just don't remember it.
Just enjoying that one, man. Always dig on some Back to the Future.
Well, that's a good one. I will say that the best Back to the Future was the cameo by ZZ Top in the third one. I think they call it Rollback or Rollerback or something like that. I love it. It's so good. The whole fucking cameo. So yeah, some black guy. I'm not being racist. That's the name of the channel. I love that joke.
I was gonna say, I'm like, wait, what?
that joke doesn't land with anyone else. I love that joke. His name's Derek Blackman. I've talked about him before. He reacted to the Nick Cannon racist video, where Nick Cannon goes full ham hog on Jewish people, calling them animals and shit. It's not good. He fucking no. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. Nick Cannon said that Jewish people were closer to animals. He actually said white people were closer to animals, but splitting hairs. Oh, yeah, okay. Nick Cannon's super racist. Remember that Nation of Islam thing I told you about?
Yeah.
He supports it.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. The current leader's a guy named like Louis Farrakhan, and he's a super fucking anti-Semite to like the hardest degree. And like, yeah. The sports world is going through some shit with a lot of black athletes kind of coming out being anti-Semites, and it's just like, ooh, this ain't good.
The worst time to possibly have this come out, too.
And that's what everyone's saying. Like, y'all, The fuck is with your timing? You couldn't have waited until 2022?
This is like dropping the nuke and then dropping it again.
No, it's not.
fuck
It's
are
like
you
dropping
doing?
the napalm bomb on the coast and then following up with a nuke right on top of it just to be sure. We just want to be sure.
Like a topic on a fucking Sunday or something. Jesus.
I always appreciate Derek Blackman's kind of takes. He's a very logical, very blunt kind of guy, and he always brings up some interesting points. He also is very unapologetic. He does get a little what's the word I want to use? Douchey. He's not afraid to poke fun at people, and I appreciate that. He is someone that I appreciate highly. But yeah, so I had a big week this week on YouTube, but I think that does about it. I haven't watched a lot of the Spooky Ookies this week, and some of the stuff I did watch, I don't think it's all that good. So I think we're about.
You had a bigger week than usual, man. Normally you don't have a whole lot.
Yeah, well, usually my stuff's more streamlined and kind of stretched out. Like it's a thing, man. So anything else?
Seemed like it just clustered,
Yeah. Next week I'll have like one video, and it'll be like 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I'll just be like,
The consistency of your content is different than mine. Mine's almost weekly, but yours seems to like kind of just fluctuate whenever it wants to.
by the by, there's a new Muppet Show coming out, and they released a trailer on YouTube for it, and they shot it all like in like on location in their homes because like they can't fucking go anywhere. So like the promo was just them all on a Zoom call, and they're like, "All right, we got a new show coming out," and everyone's like, "Yeah," and the animal's like, "Yeah, any money," but then all of a sudden this fucking otter dude from Legal shows up, and he's like, "My name's Steve from Legal," and he's just a fucking otter, and he's like, "Yep, here's the things we can't do," and he lists like a bunch of things, and everyone's like, "Aw." I'm not selling it at all, but it's fucking hilarious, and I can't wait for it. And I'm gonna totally fucking watch the shit out of that. So it's gonna happen.
Nothing wrong with some more Muppets.
No, God, we need more Muppets all the time. I loved the last Muppet Show. I don't know why people hated it. I thought it was great. Life's not fair. RealNerdCorp.com, RealNerdCorp.com. NerdCorp on Twitter, NerdCorp, or on Instagram at RealNerdCorp. I'm done giving out the rest of the links. All of the fucking links you need for any of our fucking shows, or any of our podcasts, or any of our downloads, or any of the other RealNerdCorp.com. That's the only place you need to go. You want to follow us on YouTube? Links on the website. You want to follow us on Twitch? Links on the goddamn website. It's fucking easy. It's simple. It's free. Just go there, click away. Click. If you're listening to this on Twitch or YouTube, subscribe. If you're listening to this on the download, you already found us, so you figured out how to download it. So, you're not an idiot.
Kudos.
Appreciate that. We like to mark out our fans who aren't completely stupid, because
Because there's so very few of them.
well, for this show at least.
I think there might be a reason for that.
Well, I didn't want to say it.
I already knew it, so who cares?
Matt, what's your personals?
You can find me on Twitch at NerdCorp, same handle on Twitter.
You can find me, as always, on Twitter at ChadNerdCorp, ChadNerdCorp, and on Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut. Again, RealNerdCorp.com if you want to keep up with any of our shows. Like, subscribe, comment. I don't give a fuck. Dude, we're fucking easy to find. Just Google Real NerdCorp or NerdCorp or whatever the fuck. If you see the green monkey, it's us. That's all you got to know. That's all you got to know.
That's right.
All right, Matt. You got an outro?
I just want to thank everybody for listening, and I do have an article coming up this week. I just finished it. It's the next issue of what I've been playing, so that's the 6th volume, so be on the lookout for that. That'll be out this Tuesday, but other than that, just stay tuned to next week to figure out what we're going to be playing next. So we'll see you next time.